I'd like to call to order the school board meeting, Fairborn School Board meeting for Thursday, March 2nd. Mr. Philo, could you call roll, please?
Mrs. Malad.
Here.
Mr. Steininger.
Here.
Ms. Landon. Mr. McCord.
Here.
Mr. Browning.
Here. If we could stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next is to approve the agenda as presented. Could I get a motion and a second?
So moved?
Second.
Mr. Philo?
Mr. McCord.
Yes.
Mr. Steininger.
Yay.
Mrs. Malad.
Yes.
Mr. Browning.
Yes. Motion carries. Next is to approve the minutes of the last board meeting, Wednesday, February 1st. Again, if we could get a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Philo?
Mrs. Malad.
Yes.
Mr. Steininger.
Yay.
Mr. McCord.
Yes.
Mr. Browning.
Yes. Motion carries. Next is board reports. Good to the order. Katie, if you'd like
Sure.
to start.
Yep. So I am presenting tonight about the Fairborn Music Club flower sale is going on now. Information is available on the FCS website and social media, on the music club pages as well. Spring is just around the corner, and they have access to some of the most beautiful flowers to brighten your yard. Orders need to be placed through Jeannie Myers. Cash, credit, Venmo, and PayPal are available, as well as her information is on this sheet of paper, and if anybody wants it, I'll save it for you, but I'm not going to read it right now. Please click and open the pics on those social media sites for pricing and more info. Orders will be accepted until, I believe, next week, and then pickup date will be May 6th. So thank you for supporting the Fairborn High School and Middle School music programs.
Okay. Pat?
I have Baker Middle School hosted a math and the cards night with pizza for parents and families to help with math skills. And great job for doing that over there at Baker Middle School. Also, varsity football head coach Larry Cox welcomed the Fairborn football class of 2027 with commitment signings for all the players. Be sure to follow the Fairborn football program on social media as Coach Cox and his team continue to create and build a culture of excellence for the Fairborn football group. And that's all I have, Jerry.
Okay. Tim?
I'd like to say that Fairborn High School National Honor Society and the junior class are sponsoring the Girls' Choice Spring Fling Princess Party in the Fairborn High School Commons on Friday night from 7 to 9 p.m. The event is open to the FCS girls and grades pre-K to 5. Come out and have fun. Of evening of dancing and games. Tickets can only be purchased online to go to the FCS website. And it's underneath the Families tab if you're looking. Also, the Fairborn Primary School continues its strong focus on perfect attendance by classes and posting and sharing on their building social media. Regular attendance in school promotes increased abilities to read in reading and writing and in socialization. We encourage the great work being done at FPS, Fairborn Primary School, to recognize and promote regular school attendance. And as I've been hearing today on the news, it's a national issue of attendance. I'm trying to get it back where people are, where we get our kids back in school. So that's it. Thank you for me.
Okay. Okay, Fairborn City Schools will be supporting the National Day of Unplugging with all the schools in Greene County. It's to encourage everyone to observe the day, and even if it's only for a few hours, to unplug from digital devices, to recognize that overuse of digital devices has a negative impact on mental health and well-being. We encourage everyone to get outside and enjoy the weather, engage in face-to-face conversations. And research shows that 47% of Americans are addicted to their phones, with the average person checking his or her phone every 12 minutes or 80 times a day. So, and I know I can be guilty of that sometimes, so I'll participate in this. So anything else? If not, we'll move to recognition of visitors. Mr. Philo.
Yes, tonight, Mr. President, we have 3 people have signed up under public comments. The first is Mr. Mike Eaker. If you come up here, speak into the microphone as it is being recorded and address your comments to the Board of Education.
Yes, thank you and good evening. My name is Mike Eaker, and I'm a veteran of the United States Air Force, currently living at 945 West Dayton Yellow Springs Road in Fairborn. I'm here along with hopefully fellow veterans to speak to you about critical race theory and how it negatively affects not only the youth of our great nation, but also our national security. First, if there are any other veterans in the audience, I'd like to thank them and maybe recognize them if they'd stand. Do we have any? We have. Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, much has already been said about the terribly negative effects on young people resulting from indoctrinating with the teachings and doctrines of critical race theory. For those of us who have studied different political ideologies and systems of government, we know that CRT is really a neo-Marxist ideology couched in terms of race rather than class struggle. CRT teaches that there is a continual struggle between the oppressors, white people, and the oppressed, non-whites. Rather than unite Americans of all races into a strong, vibrant nation, CRT strives to divide Americans and keep them divided into different racial groups in conflict with one another. Such teachings and doctrines are definitely anti-American in nature and detrimental to the mental and social development of young Americans. CRT purposely ignores that the Declaration of Independent states, quote, all men are created equal, never mentions that we fought a civil war to abolish slavery 156 years ago, and overlooks the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and other substantial advancements in racial justice and race relations in America. Publicly, little has been said thus far about the harmful effects on our national defense and security that results from the teachings of CRT. This is an important reason why we veterans feel it is absolutely necessary to address this board. U.S. military forces rely on unity of purpose and cohesion of units to achieve the various missions assigned to them. This close cohesion is without regard to race, gender, religion, ethnicity, and so forth. This cohesion is required in all branches of service: Army, Navy, Air Force, Space Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. Anything that undermines this cohesion is a disruptor and must be overcome, or else there may be substantial loss of life and other disastrous results. The teaching of the CRT will undoubtedly cause many young people not to serve in the military, where they may be called to risk their lives to defend a nation which they have been heavily indoctrinated against. Many young people will ask themselves questions such as, why would I want to protect America and risk my life for a country that is racist and where white people continually oppress blacks and other minorities? As a black soldier, why would I want to obey orders from a white officer when I know that he or she is just continuing to oppress me? As a white sailor, why would I go help or save a black sailor who despises me as his perceived oppressor? Our country's military services will likely suffer greatly from a lack of recruits if critical race theory continues to be drilled into the minds of our nation's youth. Our national security is at risk. In summary, we need to end the inclusion of CRT, including its many variants, in our education process and to immediately cease indoctrinating our nation's youth. For the sake of our nation's armed forces, our national security, and the welfare of America's youth, critical race theory needs to be immediately removed from student curricula at all levels of instruction. Thank you.
Next up, we have Megan Ayersman. Just a reminder to the speakers and the audience is the board will usually not respond to any comments, will not engage in a discussion, but it's here for you to talk to the board. Thank you, Megan.
Hi, my name is Megan Ayersman. I'm both a current resident and graduate of Fairborn City. I have 3 children in the district, currently in 3rd, 7th, and 8th grade. Both my family and my husband's family have strong ties to both the school district and community at large. In short, we are invested. However, I'm here to represent a large number of parents and citizens who have many concerns with the Fairborn athletic program. We're all aware of the amazing facilities that this board has worked really hard to get for our students and community. We've heard the phrase state-of-the-art facilities used quite a bit when talking about our future high school, and these things are most definitely something to be proud of. However, our concern is that the athletic programming is not being looked at as well. Go to any Skyhawk athletic event and you're sure to see huge score gaps, disengaged coaches, mouthy players, and disrespectful parents. Is this what we want to bring into our new state-of-the-art facilities? Is this what we have to look forward to in the new buildings? In their article titled "Shifting the Culture of a School's Athletic Program," the National Federation of High Schools states, "Developing a healthy team culture is crucial in athletics and fine arts activities. Successful programs develop strong cultures that define the specific program as well as its collective commitment. Parameters must include common values, core attitudes, and unified standards. If we liken our athletic family to that of a nuclear family, it might look something like this. There is a family in disarray due to communication issues, lack of trust, disrespect, etc. They make no effort to build a better foundation or establish core values, but instead decide to just move into a brand new gorgeous mansion to make things better. Does that do much to change the family dynamics? Of course not. Moving to a new house doesn't change the issues within the family. We have to be willing to put in just as much effort into our foundation as we are these new buildings. I'm asking for core values to be established by the athletic department and put into place. These core values should be able to be recited by each athletic staff member, coach, player, and parent. They determine how each practice is ran and how each game is played. They determine everything from attitudes to off-season workouts. The goal being to identify a few values that we can be consistent with rather than several that sound good, but that we don't actually follow through on. One of the published goals of the Board of Education is to establish the effectiveness of district programs and services. So tonight, I'm pleading for you as leaders and faculty to be willing to ask the hard questions and put in the work. Let's not settle. To not keep using the excuse, this is how we've always done it, or this is just how Fairborn is, or that's going to be hard to change. And instead, rise up to the occasion and opportunity set before us. As an encouragement, we're not asking you to do this alone. There's a whole group of dissatisfied parents, grandparents, staff, etc., who are willing to partner with you to make these changes and get to a place where we can truly say that we're proud to be Skyhawks. Rise up.
Thank you.
Next up is. The final one to speak is Sherry Roller.
Hi, my name is Sherry Roller. I am a Fairborn mom of 4 kids. I have a 9-year-old in 3rd grade, a 6th grader that I'm homeschooling, an 8th grader that attends Baker, and my daughter is a sophomore here at the high school. I have sat back and observed Fairborn sports for 5 years now, all at different ages. As my children transition from youth sports to middle school and high school, there seems to be a dramatic decline in team culture. Each year, I am more disappointed. The youth programs, although disconnected with Baker and the high school, have been good to my family. Once we started getting into middle school and high school, there seems to be a lack of unity and vision. Just as there were plans to build this new building and new schools, we also need plans to build a successful athletic program. I hear the saying, "Why not Fairborn?" But I hear that said in reference to material things only. I am asking the question, why not Fairborn when it comes to the culture of our teams? I am concerned we are missing what is most important here. I am proposing the operation called Rise Up to the challenge of building an athletic program that we are all proud of. A program that not only keeps athletes in our district, but also attracts athletes to come here to play for Fairborn. This operation will take a lot of time and commitment. This will mean we have to look in the mirror and find out where we are weak and identify the problems, asking the tough questions and not being afraid to address them. Questions such as, why does the high school have little or no involvement with the youth programs? Why does Baker School coaches have little or no involvement with high school athletics? Why are we not competitive in most of our team sports? Why are we having trouble having athletes play for our school? Here is an example of the current climate with our athletics. My daughter tried basketball for the first time since YMCA season this past year. She wanted to help out the team and support her school. She poured out her heart on that court even though she was still trying to learn the game. When they had only 5 games left in the season, she came home after a game and cried. She said, "Mom, no matter how hard I try, knowing we are going to lose, it is so hard to keep a good attitude out on the court and not want to quit. What gets me through the game is reminding myself," I'm sorry, my mouth is really dry. "Reminding myself that I have only 4 quarters. I can handle this. This is not fun to watch as a mom. The girls' basketball team lost every single game this past season by 20 to 40 points. Learning that the girls lost every game the previous year as well with a different coach makes me wonder where the problem lies. Is anyone concerned for these programs? If yes, then what is the athletic program currently doing to try and improve sports like girls basketball? What have we tried that hasn't worked? More importantly, what are we changing to help us improve? It is not about my daughter or my kids, but about the entire morale of the athletes here in Fairborn. We had a last-minute gathering a few weeks ago, and we had 22 people show up on a Saturday evening. All people that care about Fairborn athletics, all people who are ready for change. We all desire to see the athletics of Fairborn rise up for our kids and our community. I want to be clear, this group of people is not coming against the board. I'm sorry, my mouth is super dry, like I can barely talk.
Has anybody not opened their water yet?
Okay.
Give it to her.
You want some water, hon?
I've opened mine.
It's like sticking sorry.
You're fine.
75 cents.
No.
Yeah.
Help a girl out. You're a good man. I'll share mine with you.
Okay. Thank you. So, I want to be clear that this group of people is not coming against the board, but instead we would like to support and partner with what would be best for our kids here at Fairborn. I think there is a very large disconnect with how parents are feeling when it comes to the athletics here in Fairborn, and it doesn't have to stay this way. I've heard the term buy-in used, and I'm having a hard time figuring out what we would be buying into. What is the vision for the Fairborn athletes? What are we trying to accomplish? Are we succeeding? Before you get the buy-in, there has to be a vision to buy into. Then a plan and a strategic way we are going to implement this plan. We can help our kids be more competitive. We can build a program that they are proud of, but it's going to take a lot of work. Are you willing? Are we all willing to rise up?
Thank you. So next is school district presentation.
Okay. First up, we have Dr. Brackenhoff to talk about 7 through 12 ELA adoption.
Do we want to give people a minute if they want to go? Joe, do you want to give people a minute
Yeah,
if
I
they
mean,
want to go?
like Mr. Philo said earlier, if you're interested, you're welcome to stay. If you don't want to stay, that's fine, but please stay.
Well, this is an exciting opportunity. We have our middle school and high school English language arts teachers have been working together since last May to examine the possibility of having a cohesive, aligned English language arts adoption. And so we have researched We have had presentations from publishers. We have had pilots where teachers have used these materials in their classroom. And tonight we're ready to bring forward for first consideration McGraw-Hill's Study Sync. It is a 6-12 language arts program. Currently, our 6th graders are part of our K-6 program, but we do have a possibility of, as that program phases out, bringing them on board with this Study Sync program. So I'm going to show just a little 1-minute video and then give you a few more details about what Study Sync is about.
In our framework in California, we're really pushing complex text. We're really pushing deep reading, careful reading, analysis, and argumentation. And those are the parts of the lesson that are non-negotiable. What we try to do in Study Sync is line up all of that. When you visit the school, you'll see students on Study Sync on their phones, on tablets, on laptops, on desktops. There's lots of platforms you can use this on. There are times when we have students in small group with print versions because we need to have them slow down a little bit and kind of control where they're reading, where they're thinking, where they're talking. Other times, they're on devices. The platform is neutral here. The reading deeply is what we want to accomplish.
Okay, think about what textual evidence you could put in there now. So you have great start, textual evidence, you want next. So make sure that you're incorporating readings on content and structure. I like that you asked that because that tells me that you're referring to the prompt, and it also tells me that you're using specific evidence.
My peers' response, they did give textual evidence, and the textual evidence did go along with the prompt and what they were saying.
It feels so good as a teacher to look around, and as you're asking the class to clean up, they have the electronics in front of them. Oh, just one more minute, just one more minute. And they're going through and they want to finish their blast. They want to comment on someone else's blast. And just to see them, you see them, their face light up when they see how someone rated theirs. And they're like, I'm almost at the top. They want to be at the top. They want to provide the best, most academic response possible, which it's just, you see how much it means to them and you see how confident they are. And they do feel like English scholars. And it's amazing to see.
Having students who may have a specific need, such as a language need or an ability need, students with IEPs, this program allows me to differentiate their instruction, either in face-to-face time with me, using the print materials and the different supports and resources that I can provide for them, or online.
I like that you get peer reviews because it provides constructive feedback and you can easily improve on your writing skills. I feel like I've really improved my vocabulary skills. I wasn't speaking or using textual evidence or using words as I am now.
One thing we hadn't really thought about was that Study Sync is digital, virtual. That means you can have books all the time. It wasn't like we bought a Basil or an anthology and said that's our program for the next 7 years. It grows all the time, just like the internet. When I ask teachers about Study Sync, they say it's easy, which is important to me. What they need is a resource that is not scripted, but helps them design amazing experiences for students. I was a little surprised. I thought it was good. I didn't know it was going to be this great.
So I think that really gives you a good introduction to the power of Study Sync. Our teachers, as I said, have piloted this program. One of the things that really jumps out to the teachers that have been involved is the ability to scaffold learning. So students that English is not their first language, students with IEPs, the program itself provides the scaffolding to help them. And whether you saw a lot of the digital resources, but the great thing about this is it is in all platforms. You can do digital, you can do print copies that the publisher provides, the teacher can print copies, students can carry this any place they go. So this begins our introduction to the public. We do a 30-day preview period, so I will be posting on our district website some links that will help parents if they have, are curious about how we are going to teach English language arts in grades 7 through 12. The other part of this program that I think was particularly appealing to our teachers, it gives them access to over 300 full-text or novels. It also has over 1,700 excerpts, and students are constantly, it's not reading one text. It is reading and comparing multiple texts. And you saw from the video how students are interacting with that text and learning to work together. They write reflective pieces and their peers review that. It really involves some of the 21st century learning skills that we're trying to instill in our children. So Study Sync, again, is a McGraw-Hill product, and it will be available for preview on our website, and we will have some hard copies in the district office if anyone is interested. And then we will come back at the April board meeting and ask for full approval from our Board of Education. So any questions?
Is the platform, is it just a way of teaching, or does it actually tell you what has to be?
It has the skills embedded. It is 100% aligned with the Ohio English Language Arts learning standards. So it has the content there. It also has some instructional strategies, but the teachers do have, some flexibility. They could teach it in a thematic approach, or they could teach it like we're going to use this novel and use the novel to teach the skills. I think in the video they said it wasn't scripted, so like a teacher doesn't have, you have to say all of these things. It's presented as a lesson plan format, and they can choose, there's some flexibility in the order and how they teach it, but there are definitely some strategies that run across the board. So we're trying, and that's why we wanted an aligned series. We want to build the skills of students starting with 7th grade, our approach to the way we read and gather information, as well as our approach to writing and giving feedback on that so that we can build those skills over time.
Is there any way to find out if there's any CRT in that content?
I can tell you that my first conversation and all of my contact with our textbook publishers, that's one of the first questions. And I preface it with, one of the first questions I will probably be asked is, and it was a resounding no.
No.
Anyone else? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brackenhoff. Next is the state funding financial report. Our school treasurer, Mr. Philo.
Is that for me or her? I was hoping it was me.
It's for you, yes. He has the money, clap.
Yeah, he's got the bill. Thank you.
And the signal should switch.
Yep. Got it. Good evening. Great thing about the financial update is month of January and all the finances are nice and boring. And boring is good when it comes to school finance. In terms of January is a slow month. There's not a lot of taxes paid. You'll see in here roughly that we're about $2 million over on cash, about $2 million less than projected on salaries and fringe benefits. That is planned. We're recoding money to utilize the federal ESSER money, so we're right on track with what we've planned for that money. Income tax is tracking slightly ahead, but we're overall on track roughly to end the year. And that's a comparison with the month estimates and the month actuals. A little bit of timing issues on some of the state funding, but in terms of the expenditures, we're about $2.5 million less. $2 million of that's been recoded federal monies, so just as we've planned on that money. We're still looking to end the year anywhere between $29 and $31 million. So combined with the federal monies, that puts us right about 34. We're right on track with our 5-year plan. So it's always great to report boring. Want to talk a little bit about the State of Ohio Foundation funding. Right now, you've heard in the news that the State of Ohio is working on their biennium budget. They do a budget every 2 years. Since Fairborn Schools relies on half of our operating funds from the State of Ohio, it's always an important time to look at. Right now, for fiscal year 2023, just with the State of Ohio Foundation funding, we get about $16.2 million. In my conservative financial forecast, I projected that to go up to $16.6 million next year, about a $500,000 increase. So right now, and the first thing that comes out is the State of Ohio is the governor proposes their budget. He is proposing to follow the Cup-Patterson, but he's talking about funding it still on the portion per year. You've heard him talk about fully funded. So the governor's proposal really would mean about $17 million to Fairborn schools. That's an increase of about $0.8 million, better than what I've projected. It still needs to go through the House of Representatives, the State of Ohio, and then the State Senate. They have to come to an agreement with all three by June 30, 2023. So it's something to watch. They'll play politics. They'll announce this. They'll announce that. They'll go back and forth. They'll negotiate. They'll compromise. But in the end, they have to have something in place by June 30, 2023. Just as a side note, if they fully funded Cup-Patterson, as was proposed 2 years ago, that would be $21.2 million, with an increase of $5 million to Fairborn schools. I've not heard of anybody that has said to fully fund Cup-Patterson at this point in time, but there is some encouraging talk in the House that they may accelerate the phase-in of that. So we rely on a lot of the state funding, so just a quick update on that.
Okay.
Any questions from the board? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Just a quick update on the construction and of our facilities. With the primary, we are currently getting ready to enter into what's called Phase 3B. That's the final construction of that primary, and I'm going to be talking a little bit more about this in our work session. But we are facing some budget constraints due to inflation cost, so we're going to have to cut back on some things. And as I said, I'll talk a little bit more about that and what the specifics are in the work session. Our high school, I toured that the other day. That is on schedule. Believe it or not, we are 1 year away from the substantial completion date on the high school. That's next March. So we will go into that building, even though they'll finish it in March, we will go into that in August of 2024. As I said, I toured it the other day, walked through. The orchestra pit is dug out. I don't know if we mentioned this last month. It's going to be nice. Rooms are being put together, drywalled in some of the classrooms, down the hallways. There are concrete pillars that have been laid for the football stadium to hold the stands up. And I believe perhaps in the next month or two, they will start laying curbs and getting ready to put the roads in. So they are making great progress. As I said, they are on schedule, and we're very, very happy about that. So with that, we're 1 year out, believe it or not. So again, it's hard to believe we passed that first bond issue in 2016 for the primary. They're now in the third year of that building. The intermediate, they're in the first year there, and as I said, not long we'll be in the high school. So it's going to be phenomenal. So, thank you. Any questions, perhaps? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next area is budget and finance. There's two items. One is to approve the receipt of the financial report, and then a resolution regarding the bond. Could I get a motion in a second, and then we could have any discussion or questions?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Fowler, do you have any comments on item B?
Item B is the annual attached resolution to accept the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission. It doesn't have anything to do with the
You're right.
bond issue.
You're right.
But it's basically, it certifies what's already been passed
Right.
and what money it will collect. So
Okay.
usually they're done in November, December, but the counties run later, so.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for clarifying that. Go ahead.
Mr. McCord?
Vote.
Yes.
Mr. Steininger?
Yay.
Mrs. Malad?
Yes.
Mr. Browning?
Yes, motion carries. The next section is administrative report and superintendent recommendations, and that goes all the way to the top of page 7. If we could get a motion and second, and then there's a couple tributes in here.
So moved.
Second. Was my next.
Okay. So if we could go to the bottom of page 3, there's a request for resolution of tribute for Linda Carone, who is retiring this year after 27 years in education, and 25 of that is in Fairborn City Schools. So a big thank you to Linda.
Yes.
Also, Mr. President, one tribute to Corleen, we like to call her Corky Patterson, Secretary at Fairborn Primary, effective August 1, 2023, for the purpose of retirement, and we request a resolution of tribute for 16 years of service in the Fairborn City Schools. Corky, a personal friend of mine, as well the family, seen her kids grow up and graduate in the Fairborn City School system, and she's just one of those outstanding people we got that care an awful lot about kids and making it better for kids. So congratulations to her, and I hope she enjoys her retirement.
So any other thoughts or comments on this section?
No.
Okay. Mr. Philo?
Mrs. Malad?
Yes.
Mr. Steininger?
Yay.
Mr. McCord?
Yes.
Mr. Browning?
Yes, motion carries. The next section is regarding first readings of attached board policies. There's really no vote on that. Then gifts and donations.
Yep,
Katie?
sure thing. The Fairborn City Schools Board of Education would like to gratefully acknowledge the following gifts and donations. Elvin Barker, a Jugs hitting net and Easton batting tee valued at $249 for the FHS baseball team. Warren Brown, $500 for a Hall of Honor. The Chapter 917 Ladies of the Moose clothing and food for the homeless liaison. Jane Clifton, $100 Hall of Honor. Joanne Collins, $100 Hall of Honor. Joan Dautel, $100 for Hall of Honor. Bob DePiro, $100 for Hall of Honor. Dr. Harry Domicone, $100 for Hall of Honor. The First Presbyterian Church, a food donation for the homeless liaison. Chris and Pam Gayhart, $100 for the Hall of Honor. Jack and Judy Gayhart, $250 for the Hall of Honor. Tom Kugler, $250 Hall of Honor. Laurel and Betsy Mayer, $25 for Hall of Honor. Barb McDermott, $3,000 for the Ron McDermott Scholarship Fund. Linda and Max Miller, $100 for Hall of Honor. David, Allen, and William Nebus, $100 for Hall of Honor. Barbara Parsons, $25 Hall of Honor. Sharon Honecker Rabb, $50 for Hall of Honor. Simulators Division at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Melissa Adams, binders for district use. And the Town and Country Animal Clinic, Dr. David Coker, $250 for the Hall of Honor. We'd like to thank everyone in the community for their generous donations. No matter how big or small, it makes a great difference to us. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Katie. Next is work session. We'll do it right here in the media center.
Yep. Board of Education will take roughly a 3 to 5 minute recess. Then we'll have a work session right here. Couple items for that. We'll follow that up with an executive session later on, and adjournment from that, and nothing else to be acted on this evening.